This is episode number 123 with the unstoppable Rico Meinl. Welcome back to the SuperDataScience Podcast. Today, I have one of the most inspiring episodes that you have ever heard on this show. We've got Rico Meinl calling in from Germany, and this person is a machine. He's got passion, he's got drive, he's got that whole concept of reckless commitment down pat. So Ben Taylor talks about reckless commitment, and that is the notion of just committing yourself to something that you feel that is impossible that you will do, and you still commit to it, and you go, and once you've committed, you go and do it. So just an example, Rico has, just in a month, he set up an AI meetup group and hosted a meetup event for 45 people in Hamburg, Germany. He went to his executives in his company and suggested that they set up an AI department in order to augment their operations with artificial intelligence, and now he's doing that. He's also studying at the same time. He's also gotten himself a mentor who's guiding him through his career. So a crazy amount of incredible things that he's done in a short period of time, and this is a person that you can, and anybody can, learn a lot from just through thinking about his attitude towards data science, AI, and just anything he does in life. Also important to note that this podcast is available in video version. So if you go to superdatascience.com/123 or 123, you will see our whole conversation in video. So if you have the opportunity to watch this on your laptop, if you're at home right now and you can just switch your laptop or your phone on, then go and do that. It's the podcast is on YouTube, and you'll see our whole conversation there. You'll see us laughing. But if not, if you're just running or in the car or anything like that, then just keep going with this audio. This is definitely worth it. You'll get tons and tons of value. So all in all, it's going to be an incredible ride. So brace yourselves, and off we go. I bring to you the unstoppable Rico Meinl. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the SuperDataScience Podcast. Today I've got a super exciting guest on the show, calling in from Germany, Rico Meinl. Rico, welcome to the show. How are you going?
Thanks, Kirill. I'm doing pretty great.
That's awesome, and great to see you again. We initially met back at Data Science Go in October. It's been quite some time, and you've accomplished some crazy things in those months. I'm really excited to talk about it. But first, I wanted to start off, to kind of like loosen up this, get into this space and as an icebreaker. What we talking about just now about being nervous versus being excited. What did you think about that whole concept?
I think it's interesting because it's sort of like the same, like what you mentioned with the TED Talk. It's sort of like the same feeling, yeah. And I think that's really true, because sometimes when I'm nervous before a presentation or an important talk, once I realize that it's actually just something that I really care about and that I'm excited to do. So therefore, it's the same feeling, and it's not really something that should hold you back before doing so, right?
Yeah, and so like we were just talking about being nervous, and I actually watched a TED Talk where when you're nervous and when you're excited, you experience exactly the same feelings, where you have some sort of specific type of breathing, you sweat a little bit, you're anticipating what's going to happen. You might that happens when you're nervous, if you think about it, and that happens when you're excited. So if you train your body, this was a TED Talk by Simon Sinek, and he was actually giving an example that, this was just one of his videos, not his TED Talk, but he was giving an example of athletes at the Olympics. They're like, if you ask any of them, the reporters always ask them, were you nervous? Were you nervous? Are you nervous? And they never say they're nervous. They always say they're excited, because they've trained their bodies to be excited. But you also mentioned a cool thing, what Kyle Sees said, right? Can you repeat that about the technique that he gave you that you're using now for yourself?
Oh yeah, it's just what he recommended at his talk was that whenever you're really excited or nervous about something, you have this voice in your head that keeps telling you the things you might do wrong and where you might fail. So what I do now in front of before important presentations or something, I try to talk to the voice like you recommended, talk everything down and answer the voice in your head, so you really calm it down. And then what's also interesting in that sense, what you mentioned at the Data Science Go conference, what you're going to ask yourself is, what is the next thing I'm going to think about? And then your mind is just like empty. You don't think about anything at that moment. And that really helps me sometimes to calm myself down.
Nice. Very cool. So are you nervous or are you excited right now?
I'm excited.
Awesome. Okay, well, for the benefit of our listeners, I'm going to actually just recite in my own version the email that you sent me. So I met Rico at Data Science Go. It was October, and now it's been two months literally since then. Or no, that was November. What am I talking about?
Right?
It was November, so it's been like a month since Data Science Go, and Rico is like crazy. So first of all, Rico flew all the way from Germany, right, to San Diego just for this call. Is that right? Or were you like, am I getting this wrong?
That's right.
Man, that is crazy. I like huge thank you for that. There was like a couple of people who came from all over the world. So I was very inspired by that. And then like a month later after the conference, I get this email from Rico and he's like, by the way, Kirill, I wanted to say, oh no, hold on. At the conference, what did you ask me at the conference?
Oh, I was actually inspired, and it was a lot about like setting goals, right?
Yeah.
So what I realized during the talks that these people are doing amazing things and are really inspiring. So what I want to set myself as a goal is I want to reach so far that next year I can be one of the presenters at the Data Science Go conference. So at the one 2018. So I approached you and I asked like, Kirill, like I really want to be a presenter. And then what you said was, well, at first you got to succeed. And that's what really that was the perfect response for my type of personality, I think. So that really keeps me motivated now.
Nice. Very nice. And I remember like, I haven't told you this, but I remember now, like I think I was sitting behind, like at the back of, all of the chairs at the back. There was like these seats for, because I remember that moment with where we had all the audio visuals, the recording team, the what are they called, the camera crew, and so on. And I was sitting behind my laptop, I was talking to someone, and then Rico rocks up. I'm like, wow, first of all, you're very tall. I'm like, this guy, like, what does he want from me? And I was already like, this is towards the end, the evening for, I think, first day or something, or second day. But like, I was already a bit tired. I was like, what does this guy want from me? I'm like tired. Like, you're like, I want to be a presenter. I'm like, dude, you got like, okay, well, okay, that's cool. That's right. I gotta like get myself together and give him an appropriate response. When would I want someone to present at this conference? When he succeeds, when he's a successful person, when you have a successful story to share, right? I'm like, okay, you got to succeed first. And then like, that's the end of our, of course we chatted more, but we didn't talk more about this. And so then I get back, a month passes, and I get this email, and Rico's like, so I got back to Germany. By the way, Kirill, remember we had this chat about me being presented. I'm not emailing you about that at all. I hope you remember it. But like, basically, I got back to Germany. I set up a meetup group for artificial intelligence, which has like 250 people in it already. I've recommended my company to incorporate artificial intelligence in their operations, and now we're setting up an AI department. And also, I've reached out to one of the speakers at Data Science Go, Richard Hopkins, who is my mentor. And you literally, like, you basically stole my mentor, and now Richard Hopkins is your mentor, and you're catching up with him on FaceTime. I mean, like, you caught up with him twice in a month. I don't see him that many times in a quarter. And I'm like, whoa, this guy is on a roll. So I had to invite you here and like learn more about this. Like, and the other thing is, like, you got inspired by some of the speakers, and now you've shifted your sleeping habits to accommodate all these crazy things you're doing. So very, very inspiring accomplishments. I don't even know where to get started. Where are we going to get started with this, Rico?
Let's start at the very first beginning.
Okay.
Let's start at the beginning.
Walk us through it.
All right. Maybe you want a background.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
First of all, sorry, how old are you? If you don't mind sharing, how old are you?
Oh yeah. I'm 20 years old.
Yeah. Okay. That's very impressive. All right. So
yeah. So when I was 18, I finished high school, and I wasn't really sure about what I want to do. So I went to Canada for a year because I always wanted to travel to the US. So that's what I did. I started working in a restaurant in Toronto. as a dishwasher actually.
Mm.
And it was a really exciting time. And then I went to Vancouver for half a year to work in a ski resort, traveled America on the way, and then traveled America again, and finished off with 2 months, and then went home to Germany. And over the course of that year, I really thought that I was passionate about movies. So I really thought I wanted to make movies. So I found this little university in Hamburg that has a study called for media computer science. And there was an article online which stated that some people that studied here, they had eventually went to the film industry to do like movie effects and graphics for movies.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking you wanted to become an actor or something like that.
No. More on the technical side. Yeah. So that's what I actually wanted to do. So I came here to start studying, and I'm doing like a co-op program. Mm-hmm. Is that a common thing in Australia as well?
Explain a bit more. Like a co-op is like, it's not university, it's like before university. Is that what you mean?
No, it's more like so I'm enrolled as a student, and then in my semester holidays, because in Germany we have semesters of 6 months, so I study for 3 months and I have exams, and then everyone has 2 months of semester holidays. So in that time I am working in a company, and I have a contract, and I'm also going to stay at the company for 2 years after my study.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's a really great deal that goes both ways. So yeah, I was actually at my initial interview, my now COO asked me, you are aware of the fact that this study subject is 80% computer science? And I was not. So I was like, yeah, sure. So he asked me, like, do you think you can do it? And I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. So I started studying here, just diving into coding, because there's a lot of practical applications at this school. And in the second semester, and after my first practical experience in the company, I decided I don't want to do movies anymore. I want to do computer science. There's way more opportunities. So yeah, I've been doing that, and there was just a general curiosity about AI.
Okay.
And so for my second practical semester at my company, I asked to go into the customer service software department, where we have a chatbot, which is some kind of AI in that sense, because it's a rule-based model. Yeah, so that was basically, not an excuse, but some sort of excuse to get involved in the field of AI. So I went to Udemy because we have a company's account where you can do courses for free.
Oh, and that's so cool.
Are there any courses on AI that I can do? And I was surprised because there was. And there was your courses.
Oh, nice.
So and then over the course of my practical semester, I did the machine learning and deep learning and the AI course, and some other ones as well. And
which one did you like the most?
I like the deep learning course the most.
Yeah. Did you like how it starts off with that, when they're talking what is the internet, and then the 1994 video clip, and like they didn't even know what the internet was on the TV. On a TV show or something, not TV show, on a interview on like one of those CNBC type of shows. So yeah, like I like that course because of the style we put in. Sorry for the side note. Okay, so deep learning, I agree. I like that course a lot.
Yeah, so then I was actually in Edinburgh on some sort of vacation, and I saw that you guys were doing the Data Science Go conference. So I was like, why not? I was going to do it. So I bought a ticket. And
what month was this? When did you buy the ticket?
In August.
In August. So like a few months before the conference. Okay.
Exactly.
And then you're like, screw it. I'm just going to fly half the way across the world just to come to a conference in San Diego.
I had this idea that I thought that that the whole thing is going to be really expensive, the ticket and the flight. But I thought, like, if I'm going to meet one person that inspires me, if I'm going to meet one person at least that's going to make an impact in my life, it's going to be worth the investment.
Oh, nice. I love that thinking. Did you meet at least one person?
I met more than 20 persons.
Nice.
No, actually, like I met so many amazing people at that conference.
Yeah. That's so cool. And one of them is your mentor now. It's crazy. I'm gonna chat to Richard about this. I'm gonna send him this video. Yeah, Richard, if you're watching this, hey man, this is great. Okay, cool. So and then okay, that's, you got there, you got inspired. But like, what I find with like people, what often happens is people get inspired, but they don't do anything about it, right? They just like they're cool. It's cool. They have this feeling, and then, you know, especially even like you get most inspired at an event. You know, you get inspired after reading a book, and so on. But like at an event, because you're surrounded by these people several days, you're committing time and money into a travel. But then like it fades off inevitably within like a week, or maybe for some people a few months. How did you make yourself actually follow through on your plan?
Yeah, what you mentioned is definitely true. Like I've been there. What I realized, which works for my type of personality, that for example, if I want to do something like a course, I buy it first, and then like it's sort of like I have to do it eventually. So that was like the same thing with my presentation at my company and also the meetup. So when I had this idea at my company, which you're going to get to later, I guess. Yeah. I thought I was going to do it. So the first thing I did before having anything to present, I texted my business unit manager, and I was like, I really want to present this thing. Are you going to be free, I think, next week or something, to have a meeting? And she was like, sure. So then I created a presentation. Same with the meetup. Like I came home from Data Science Go, and the same night I created the meetup. So then I was like, once the site was up there and people started signing up for it.
Signing up, yeah.
I was like, now I have to do it. So we had our first meetup last Saturday.
Nice.
And then, yeah.
And how did that go?
Richard.
How many people attended?
It was 45 people attending, so less than expected. But I guess that's what you learn from those kind of events, because it doesn't always go as you hope it will go. Because there was 115 people signed up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was so great. Like it was still an amazing experience for me. Never talking in front of so many people, and I really liked it.
That's so cool. You went from attending a conference to hosting your own event within a few weeks. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. And you said the same thing with Richard. How did you manage? Because Richard is not an easy guy to convince to be his mentor, to be your mentor. Like, how did you manage to make that happen?
I got involved in a talk with him on this Saturday night at the networking. And we just talked, and it was a really interesting talk. I think I don't really, to be honest, I don't remember exactly what we talked about, just like about where I came from and where he came from.
Yeah.
And then he told me that he was really inspired by my story, and then the next morning he told me that also because of the whole change of course of the conference, he completely redesigned his talk, right?
Yeah.
So he ended up talking about a lot about mentorship.
Yeah.
So at one point I sit there and I realized like I had a really great connection with him the night before, and then he was talking about how important it is to get a mentor.
Yeah.
And all of that. So like immediately after this talk, I went up there and I was like, Richard, I really want you to be my mentor. Like, do you think we can work anything out to have like a Skype mentorship? Because I'm in Germany. I'd love to come visit Australia one day because I've never been.
Yeah.
And he was like, absolutely. So yeah, then we kept in touch and we had our first talk, I think like a week or two after the DS Go.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's really cool, man. And Richard's a great mentor. So for those who don't know, Richard Hopkins is, right, he used to be a director at PwC, or even higher than a director, for restructuring and business turnaround, while now he's a CEO at a huge lettuce growing, like they're called farms, but it's a huge lettuce growing company located in Tasmania. So yeah, man, that's really cool. And how are these catch-ups going? Like, so is it hard because Rich is the type of guy, he's not gonna follow around. He's not gonna like follow you. You have to take control. That's the first thing. When he was my mentor, that's the first thing he told me. Kirill, I'm happy to be a mentor, but you got to be the one driving this thing. Cause like I have lots of things going on, and if you can't be bothered to set up a meeting with me, then it's not my responsibility, not his responsibility. And so like, how has that been? You said you've had 2 catch-ups with him so far. like how do you go about, especially like a remote mentor? Like when he was my mentor, like we were in one city, we were chatting all the time. We'd go out for lunch. How does it work for you guys?
Um, we set up this first meeting over email and I think LinkedIn, and then what I really liked that for the first meeting, he took over the control, which was great for me because I've never been mentored before. So he took it over and he said, listen, Rico, like, this is how I usually approach these things. And so it was a good introduction for me on how things are going to go. We had a really interesting talk. And then we had our second meeting. And that's when I realized, like what you're saying, that I have to like kind of make sure that I have questions prepared and ask for stuff. Because of course, like I actually really greatly appreciate that he takes his time, even though he is busy. So then I think it's also great that we're not wasting time. So we really catch up, talk about some stuff. I ask my question, and if it's only 20 minutes or 30 minutes, it's only that, right? So yeah, so I always, of course, because of the change in my job now, I'm trying to like built this AI research lab up. I had a lot of questions regarding that, and he was able to help me a lot with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And so during Richard's talk, he emphasized this one important point, that mentorship has to be a two-way street, that you cannot just take from your mentor. Your mentor has to get some value out of it as well. At least, even if you get 90%, he gets 10% or 80-20, something like that, because otherwise it's great to help other people, but you also want to grow yourself. You want to learn. So my question to you is, what are you contributing to this relationship? Just out of curiosity.
I actually asked him the same question because I was interested, because before we first talked, I wasn't actually sure what I was going to contribute, but he said he's really interested in deep learning, and he's confident that with my drive and passion that he spotted, that I'm going to be able to give him a lot of input on that, and I'm going to do my best to do so. I'm confident I will.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, once I really dive deep into it.
Nice. Yeah, and I totally agree with that. Like, I'm sure you'll be able to help him along the way as you learn these things yourself. But I also think that, like, for me, with my mentors, I wouldn't be where I am without my mentor. So if at any point they call me and say, hey, Kirill, I need your help with this, I'll just pause all my plans. I'll go there and spend like a week or 2 weeks helping them implement a system or whatever I can do, set up some contracts or introduce somebody to somebody, or even if it's like deep learning AI, I'll make sure to do that. And so I'm sure you'll do the same. Like if 5 years from now, when he's not, like when maybe he's not your mentor anymore, like he says, hey, Rico, you're the CEO, we're Deep Learning Incorporated, global, worldwide. Could you come over and help me? Richard, this is where you grow some lettuce. And I'm sure you'll say yes. So that's
absolutely
cool.
Yeah.
And I like how you mentioned, this is so funny. Look, I'll show you my book, right? So this is the top of my book. I'm making notes right here. This is before our talk. I wrote down passion and drive. Like you mentioned those exact two things that Richard spotted in you. And I was like, when I talked to Rico, I wrote down what I need to talk about. First two things that came to mind: passion and drive. Man, this is cool. Like it shows something. It means that you emanate these qualities and people can pick them up. So let's talk more about that. What is your passion, and where into the space of AI, like seeing what you've seen in computer science, where in the space of AI do you want to go, and why are you so passionate about it, and why are you so driven to get there?
Where I want to go, I want to develop amazing things. Actually, I'm really inspired by Ben Taylor right now because he posts a lot of his stuff on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like the latest was he had like a five article series about how deep learning is used to what's that? To spot beauty in people, but then filtering out the race aspect.
Oh, okay. How deep learning is used to prevent racism, to combat racism in like beauty, fashion stuff and things like that, right?
Exactly. Like, and that's kind of like the stuff I really want to get into because I think also I saw this TED talk the other day, which was about a guy who created a drone system in Africa where they have autonomous drones delivering blood to different hospitals, which is saving lives every day. Like, it's these type of applications that I'm really interested in, that I really want to create, because I think that AI can not only automate, so augment humans in what we do in our everyday life, it can also really make the world a better place by applications like this.
Yeah.
And that's what just keeps me going, because I was also always looking for sort of I think everyone's looking for his purpose, right? Like, everyone's in this world trying to find his purpose and what he can contribute to the world. And I think I really found that for me in artificial intelligence. So that's what keeps me going, because I think it has relevance. And yeah.
Man, but like, everybody's looking for their purpose, but not at 20 years old. Like, you're way ahead of the curve. That's crazy. Like, why, how did you get there at such a young age? This is it's very inspiring, but it's a mystery, right? Like, a lot of people at your age are still searching or taking a gap year or, partying a lot. Like, was there something in your life that changed your perception?
My year abroad. Definitely. Like, if
the dishwashing in Canada.
Absolutely. Like, I think that would be my number one recommendation for everyone who is in a young age, who's getting off school, because we had this talk at university at some point, and it was young students who were wondering about doing the same co-op program instead of a normal study. And they were wondering, because the co-op program is more intense, because you really never have holidays. You're always working or in school. So what they were wondering is, like, they were 18 years old and they said they would have a disadvantage if they don't go into university right away. But I was like, guys, like, this is not true, because after school, you kind of want to enjoy and like live life, right? So that's what I did with going to Canada. And I think that's how I built up street smartness. And I feel like that's also important. I'm kind of getting lost on this one.
So what happened in Canada? Like, why did you come back from Canada and you're like, oh, that's right, you said you want you want the movie, right? You want to get into the movie space.
Yeah.
And then through the whole coincidence that there was computer science, one of the predominant things, that's how you ended up in AI. Oh, that's really cool. That's Steve Jobs used to talk about connecting the dots. Like, before, when you went to Canada, you would never have thought that these coincidences, that's what they're going to lead to. But now looking back, you can see how connecting those dots makes sense, that this had to happen for this to happen. That's really cool. Okay. And then what the other thing is, tell us about your transition. Like, or the way you entering this field. It's obviously not one of the simplest fields in the world. You know how sometimes they say, no offense to any cooks in the audience, but like, cooking is not rocket science. I think it is rocket science. I'm not a good chef, but there's a saying, it's not rocket science. Well, you can't really say that about AI. AI is pretty much rocket science. It's like almost there. So you're getting to one of the most complex areas in the world, and the most cutting edge technologies and data driven applications. How does it feel? Like, what are the challenges that you face on a daily basis?
That is actually the point you just mentioned, is the thing that's really getting me excited about AI. The challenge behind it, that is something that is not yet developed, and there's still room for us to improve. So I really like that challenge in the first sense. And I think the biggest challenge for me right now is to incorporate my passion for AI with my daily study life. Because, like, I still want to finish university, right? I still want to do great on my bachelor's. But my computer science degree is not that relevant, connected to AI.
Connected.
So it's basically like the separation between my bachelor's and then also my AI passion. And kind of like get this under the same hat right now is my challenge.
That's a really cool way of putting it, getting them under the same hat. I wanted to ask you, is time a challenge? Is like, do you have enough time to do your bachelor's and your work and your passion for AI? Is that I'm kind of like leading towards your whole sleeping routine. I would like to talk more about that and how you've changed your sleeping routine since Data Science Go.
Inspiration from Hadelan. You want to control time rather than undergoing it. That was really that really stuck in my head, because it's true. Like, ever since I started the sleeping rhythm, I have much more control over my time. And before, I've been stressed. So I've had these days where I really want to get stuff done, and then I was stressed at the end of the day because I didn't have enough time to do so, and then I was not happy with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now, obviously, I'm not always on top of my game because it's also been a huge change to get into this habit. But I have all the time in the world now. So that's really, I think it's good for me because I'm not stressed anymore. And I know I can get things done during the day, and I do get things done. And that keeps me motivated. So that's just been my motivation to stay with this.
So tell us a bit more about that. Like, how many hours a day do you sleep now?
Well, I do sleep 4.5 hours every night.
Yeah.
And then I do 2 20-minute naps over the course of the day. So I split my day into 3 parts. So I wake up usually like 5 or 4:30. And then 6.5 hours later, I have my first nap. And then 6.5 hours later, I have my second nap. And then 6.5 hours later, I go to sleep. Yeah. So split my day into 3 parts is really cool, because you always get this, like, sometimes when you wake up, you're really energized and you're really ready to get going again. Yeah. I get that 3 times a day.
Nice. So
that's really cool. Like something that's been getting me going.
Was it hard to transition? Like, what was the biggest like feeling or complication that you felt while you were transitioning? What was the hardest thing?
It was hard. It still is hard. I can't lie. Like, getting up in the morning sometimes is pretty hard. And I feel like that's what also Hadelan told me. You kind of like, sometimes you have to break the habit, just like sleep in for a day. For example, after my first meetup where I was like mentally ready to get some rest, I just slept in for like 12 hours. Yeah. And that was really good because the next morning I woke up being more energized than ever. So getting up in the morning is sometimes hard. And I think to everyone who's maybe thinking about doing it, like, you have to fill your day with work. You can't do it if you don't have a full day of work in front of you, because once you feel like you're wasting your time with non-related stuff, you might as well sleep longer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I try to use my time as good as possible, get the most out of the day, and that is. And I think you also kind of have to be excited about your work, because you cannot get up at 4:30 when everyone is sleeping if you don't like what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's, I was just sitting here thinking that I have to mention for our listeners, because there's so many people listening to this podcast that are expressing concerns about the health of the guests, because it really, like, even to me, it's starting to feel like we've got a cult going on here. Like, Ben Taylor sleeps 4 hours a night. You sleep 4.5 hours a night. Adlan sleeps 3 hours a night. You know, like, I tried sleeping like 4 or 5 hours a night. It's like, it's crazy. It's the amount of people that I interact with through the podcast, through the conference, through like students. Like, it's surprising how many people are doing these routines, which are, you know, some are called like polyphasic sleep cycle, Uberman sleep pattern. What's the other one? Whatever they call it. Like, there's many different versions of it. But what I wanted to say is that it's not a cult, and it's exactly what you said. When you're passionate about what you do, you can't wait. You're like, why am I sleeping? I got to get up and do more. I got to get back into it. And and of course you got to do it like very consciously, and monitor your health and take care of things. But for people who do master it, it helps, and not only with work. Like, in your case, it helps with work and study. In Ben Taylor's case, he gets to spend every evening from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. or no, not 2 a.m. whenever he goes to bed, like 10 or 9, he spends with his family, right? It helps find the time and still get those things done. Like you were saying, put several things under one hat. So yeah. Anyway, we veered off a little bit from your AI and your passions. So, okay, so that's what inspires you in AI. Now we know, and we can see how why you want to get into, and the challenge inspires you as well. So tell us how do you go about learning AI? You mentioned you took a few courses, right? So you already have the foundation of what artificial intelligence is. What do you like? Do you go and create, and like, let's say you decide to code your own neural network for some sort of application to practice, or you find a real world challenge and you try to solve it, or you find a data set and you want to get some insights into it, or you just apply it at work? Like, what is your way of getting more than you've already gotten from the courses as your foundation? How do you propel your skills in the space of artificial intelligence?
Okay, that question really addresses my problem right now. As I am studying, I don't really have the time to dive deep into the application of models. So for me, it's like right now I'm really getting into the theoretical, like the part that really interests me. For example, the future of AI is something that really sparks my interest. So I try to listen to a TED Talk every day about that's relevant to AI. I do the courses. I connected with LinkedIn, so I have a great feed now that also always keeps me updated on the newest technology and the newest methods. And then once February starts, after my exams, I am going to go knees deep into everything, and I'm going to do practical applications. My plan is to really get a GitHub account going in the 2 months I have, and get Kaggle. You heard about Kaggle?
Yeah. I was just thinking that's like the best place to apply your skills.
Yeah, definitely that, and like real world problems. So what we also trying to do in the research lab is we have a bunch of customers now in our company, but also a bunch of products that we can integrate AI into. So we want to keep the research phase really slim. So after like 2 or 3 weeks, everyone has gotten into the topic. We want to address companies' problems, companies' issues, and try to improve our product with AI. And that's where I'm really going to get the practical knowledge. And I'm really excited for that. I actually can't wait. But yeah, I have to that's what I meant. Like, I have to stay committed to my school. I have to finish my exams first and my school related stuff. And then AI comes second in that sense.
Nice.
But yeah, like I have everything planned out.
Nice. And you mentioned I like that. I like when you have things planned out. You're like, even to the date, right? You have, and that's the difference between goals and dreams. Dream is when you're like, I want to do that, but you don't know when. A goal is a dream that has a timeline. Like, I'll do this in February, and then by April, I'll have this experience, and then so on. Then I'll start my next semester, and et cetera. And what I wanted to ask you is, what was it? So, you said trends, technological trends in AI, like you're excited about them. What are some of the top ones that you're most excited about? Something that, like is going to happen in 2018, you think?
Capsule Networks.
Capsule Networks.
Yes. So Ben Taylor, always mentioning Ben. Ben is a really inspiring person, by the way.
Yeah.
Ben shared an article on Capsule Networks. So I watched a little video on it, really sparked my interest. And so I'm going to have a seminar next semester, which I'm going to prepare starting January, which is basically like a 60-minute presentation about an AI-related topic. So I asked my prof if I can do it about Capsule Networks, because that's something that I think is going to be relevant in 2018. So I really want to get deeper in the knowledge on that one. And I think I'm not actually sure, because I haven't done too much research on the blockchain, but I think AI and blockchain is going to be a trend for 2018, like you guys also mentioned yesterday. And I'm really interested about that as well.
Nice. Yeah. That's really cool. Well, how did Ben Taylor phrase, like, I really like your, the way you go about things. Like, I don't know anything about Capsule Networks, but I'm already presenting it in whatever, April. And like, that's really cool. And Ben Taylor put a phrase to it. It's like some sort of commitment, like radical commitment, or what do you remember what he said? It was like
reckless commitment.
Reckless commitment. There we go. Yeah. Reckless. That's exactly, like, you're living up to his what he was preaching about. Reckless commitment. That's the way to get things done.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, like, maybe can I explain why I'm such a fan of Ben in that sense? I think on the first day after his talk, I approached him and asked him if he wanted to have breakfast with me the next day.
Yeah.
So he said, yeah, let's do it. So we met up the next morning, had breakfast together, and I was able to ask him all of my questions concerning how I can approach management, about my idea for the AI research lab, what his opinion is, how he would pursue that presentation. And yeah, he really gave me amazing input and about everything. Like he gave me, I think, like 2 or 3 techniques on how I can approach management with it. And we had a really nice chat about his applications, what he's doing and where he's been coming from. And that's why I'm like, really, like he gave me great input on data science call. Definitely one of my top influences there.
That's so cool. And Ben is like an ocean of stories and advice and like crazy things. Like you can talk to him for hours. We were talking at dinner and he just mentioned like story after story after story from his life. It's crazy. I actually remember that breakfast. I saw you guys having a chat there. So that was really cool. That's really cool that he gave you some input to help you out with the AI lab. What was it hard? Like what was the biggest like challenge approaching your company? Because I like when you said I talked to my company to set up an AI lab. I'm like, what? Who does that? Who goes up to like their executives and say, "Hey guys, we need to set up an AI lab"? And by the way, you haven't told us yet. What does your company do? And that will probably give us a bit more perspective on how hard it was to set up the AI lab.
Definitely. So we're an e-commerce related company. We have, for example, for our products, we have an online shop software. And a product information management system. And we also sell online shops to huge customers, and we do customer service software. So yeah, it's all e-commerce related, and we're really customer focused B2B company. So we had AI integrated in our company before with the chatbots, and we have like an intelligent mail system. But then I looked at the e-commerce use cases for AI. Also something I asked Ben, I was like, Ben, like, is there even applications in e-commerce? And he was like, there's plenty. So I Googled it up. I found so many. So I was like, okay, great, let's do this. So I presented them to management that there's like major huge cases. Maybe I can talk about that later. And that we can definitely use them to improve our products, to improve our customer service, and also grow as a company. So yeah, apparently like my management was already like kind of thinking about integrating AI, so it came really perfect for them in timing, and they're really supportive with it, which is nice.
That's really cool. And then they were like, okay, Rico, you take care of it, set up the lab. Like what does it entail setting up an AI lab at a company? What does that even mean?
Yeah, we're in the process of building it right now. So we chose a team building
framework, technique.
Yeah. Okay. So the team building approach. We chose a team building approach. So there's going to be a meeting tomorrow actually, where there's going to be interest, like students coming to our company, and we present them with the idea. And hopefully they're interested to help us build it up. So we want to acquire a team, like 4 to 5 people, and then define the structure of what we actually want to do, which is integrating AI into our product first, do a proof of concept that it actually works, that it makes our products better, then talk to customers about it, approach customers and be like, hey, we can integrate AI into your products, maybe analyze your data, do some data science lessons, and you will have X improvement and it will save you X costs. That's also something we're going to work on. And yeah, just like general integrating, because sorry, I'm drifting off, but you guys also said yesterday that 40% of companies already adapted to AI. I think it's really important for companies these days to get knowledge in that field, to not stay behind. So I feel like an AI research lab is perfect because we are going to do research and we are going to provide information that can be really useful for the future. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. And for those listening, if you're in a B2B space, that's a great place to apply AI because, like for individual people, it's a bit harder to make the connection or explain how AI is going to benefit them. If you create an app or something that like massively is going to help people, like lots of people, that's cool. But overall, like if a company comes to me and says, hey, we'll build you this AI thing, like I don't, like, as a person, I won't be able to pay them like tens of thousands of dollars for a tailored AI application for me. So you have to like focus on apps and stuff. But in a B2B space, because there's much higher turnovers and like much higher funds that these companies have, like in your case, Rico, you can just come up to a company and say, hey, we know that you can increase your efficiency, and we know that that's going to cut your costs by 10%. If their costs are like $10 million, that saves them $1 million, and you charge them 100,000. Like it's a no-brainer for most business. And that's why the saying AI is the new electricity, which is by Andrew Ng, is like, it's so much deeper than people think. It's not just about that AI is going to be everywhere. It's also about how quickly companies are going to adopt and how easily, if you show them the bottom line, how that's going to change the bottom line. If it's going to save you $1 million and you just have to pay 100,000, where's the question? Let's just do it. Then I can totally see how that can be beneficial in your case. All right. And so e-commerce use cases, we'd love to hear some of those if you can share or remember any of the ones that popped up when you were searching on Google.
Yeah, I was going to do the three basic ones, the most found most information about chatbots on in online shops, like a chatbot that you're going to ask, for example, if you're in some shopping website for clothes, you're going to ask the chatbot like, I don't know, what is show me your black shirts, or what show me something that I can wear on a Saturday night. Yeah. Like an intelligent bot that helps you navigate through the website and find products. But we're already kind of like into that space. So what I think was more interesting is personalization of the customer experience, personalizing the shopping experience, and also the sales cycle. Because once you create a user profile based on their data, like how much time they spend on the products or where they clicked from, you can use clustering to cluster your customer base and approach different segments of customers in a different way. And that can be beneficial for sales. And then also applying NLP and image recognition for intelligent searches. So using keyword mapping, if I put a keyword in and it doesn't only show me the relevant results, but also related results based on the machine learning algorithm that compared the words, or if I think Kirill has a great shirt, I'm going to take a picture of it, upload it into the shop, and then the shop will not only show me Kirill's shirt, but also other shirts that may be similar. Mm-hmm. And also what I think was really not necessarily e-commerce related, but something for our company is in the space of ops, that you're going to use machine learning to analyze backlog data to have like a proactive error detection. So yeah, nice. And also like the main thing I found out. And actually, when I had a meeting, when I presented to my whole management team, one of the guys, the head of the product information management system, he was really into it, and he was like, "Oh, I have so many use cases we can talk about," and yeah, so I'm excited to hear about that. And there's definitely like a lot of projects for us to work on.
Yeah, that's so cool. It sounds like there's so many that you probably, as soon as you get started, you'll have the problem of like where do I get the people? How do I do all these things at the same time? It's just impossible. Like, are you a bit worried about that already, or are you just excited about it?
I'm really excited. I actually can't wait to start. Like, yeah, it's kind of bad because I have exams in February.
Yeah,
I really want to slay on that, but I'm really excited about what's after. Like, yeah, I can't wait for mid-February to start.
Gotcha. And so one question I have is data science versus AI. What would you say to those listening? Because this is a podcast for data science careers. What would you say to those listening who are in the space of data science and quite successful or learning in that area, but they're a bit apprehensive about getting into the space, right? It seems like a whole different area, something to do with development, something to do with robots, and like it just feels very alien to them. What would you say about that? Can they do it, and should they do it?
I feel like because you already mentioned that machine learning, one of your earlier podcasts, that machine learning is a great component, is going to be a great component in the future for data scientists. And therefore deep learning, which is a subspace of machine learning, and deep learning is what I mainly were talking about in my applications. They will all be solved with machine learning or deep learning algorithms. I think it's going to be really important for the future. And I think they're definitely not going to regret getting into it because it's just going to provide a way to get information out of the data with algorithms. And I mean, a programming language such as Python is not that hard. So I think every data scientist should really have a look. Well, if they're not passionate about it, it's not a huge deal, right? But if they are, it would be great for them to try, I think.
Yeah. How long did it take you to learn Python?
Well, I know Java from school, so it took me like 4 days.
4 days. Okay.
But because it's the same like object-oriented programming, right?
Yeah.
But in general, I think Python is really simple with how they structure the data and also the variable types. So I think it's a really great programming language for everyone to get started.
And the syntax is very simple, right? With the whole spacing.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like one of the easiest ones to learn ever.
Yeah.
And
I think so too.
And do you feel do you use TensorFlow or do you use PiTorch? What do you focus on mostly?
Well, I got an insight in both of them over your courses.
Yeah.
But I think I would prefer TensorFlow for no specific reason right now.
Yeah.
But that's what I would be going with.
And so
like just for me, the general feeling that was more comfortable.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I think it's more templated. It's kind of like very easy. And that was actually my question. Do you feel that with TensorFlow and PiTorch, but in this case, like with TensorFlow, you can apply sophisticated AI models without actually, coding a lot of lines of code, like 10 lines of code, and you can have a, convolutional neural network set up, right? Like, do you find that makes your life easier?
Yeah, especially when you put Keras on top of TensorFlow, it's even easier.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that's a great way to get started and to just. So for me, when I was getting started, I was really happy with the results that you could accomplish really easily, and then I feel like that's a really good entry into the field because once you start seeing the results, you're happy and then you're interested. You want to find more about the algorithms, and then you dive deeper into the mathematics, maybe read a paper about it, and that's when you really start going. But I think the possibility of Keras and TensorFlow really sparks the interest in the first place. Because as a computer scientist, I know how it can be really depressing if you do a lot of work but don't get results. Yeah. In that sense, you get the results first, and then you're inspired to do the work.
Yeah, that's really cool. And the applications, like even the practice applications, if you in AI, when you're learning AI, I think across the board, regardless of which course you do, I think they're always fun, right? So it's like you're trying to recognize digits, or you're trying to classify dogs and cats, or price properties and stuff like that. They're always really fun applications. Like in machine learning, unfortunately, there's some more historical data sets, like I don't know, the Virginica setosa, Fisher Iris data set, and so on, that are kind of like very textbook. But because AI is so new, most of the applications that you can see online, most of the tutorials, they're really fun. And when you see the results, it's like, wow, that is a dog, that is a cat, that is so cool. I love that part as well. Okay. All right. Well, Rico, we kind of I don't know how quickly this hour flew by. I'm not even keeping track. I think it's been an hour, but it feels like 5 minutes. It's been amazing. I had a question about a book. Do you have a book that you can recommend to our listeners to help inspire them?
Yes, absolutely. So the book I read that also really got me excited was the Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz.
Yeah. Is that the one with the fish on the cover, right?
No, that's The Big Leap.
Yeah, that's The Big Leap. Okay, I haven't read those Magic. Okay.
But the Magic of Thinking Big is it's a really great book because it encourages you to dream big, because when you're not in a position where you have, let's just say, achieved a lot, which is in my position right now, you got to dream big in order to achieve big. Because when you see yourself in that light of where you want to be, you will behave more successful and you will be more successful. So that, and also what really inspired me by that book was what he quoted, successful people are always going to appreciate big ideas. So that's what really got me with my company's presentation, because when I was thinking about if they were going to like it or not, I was like, well, it's a pretty big idea, so they will appreciate it. And that's what happens. And that's what really got me into making the presentation. And if you allow, I actually want to recommend another. What the CEO wants you to know.
Yeah.
It's been the book, What the CEO Wants You to Know.
Sorry, repeat that?
Oh, sorry. What the CEO Wants You to Know.
Oh, What the CEO Wants You to Know.
It's been on the podcast, recommended before. I just wanted to reiterate that because I'm reading it right now. It's great input for everyone who wants to get a basic knowledge about what their business is doing. And yeah.
So it's like not necessarily for CEOs, it's for anybody in the business.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that's a good recommendation, What the CEO Wants to Know. And actually, why that book resonated, The Magic of Thinking Big, is I actually read it a few years ago. I looked up the cover now. It's this white book with big red writing by David Schwartz. Very old book. It's like written in the, I don't know, 60s or earlier, but very true. That's really impacted me as well. So I can vouch for that. That's a great recommendation. Okay, well, Rico, thank you so much for coming on the show. How can our listeners contact you? Like, what's the best way to get in touch and see what crazy AI applications you're going to create in the next coming years?
LinkedIn? Definitely. I love to connect with people on LinkedIn. I also love to go out and talk to people on LinkedIn. I've gotten some great inputs. I've also looked for speakers for a meetup on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is right now the greatest way to connect with people, except also in the business. And yeah, definitely. Like, as soon as I will dive deeper into everything, I will also try to do more AI related posts.
Nice. And and your meetup, is it going to happen again, or was it just like a one-off thing for now?
It's going to happen again.
Awesome. So and which city is that in?
Hamburg.
Germany. So if anybody's in Hamburg watching this or listening to this, make sure to check out the meetup. What was it called? Meetup.ai?
It's on meetup.com. That's the website to that person meetup. And the meetup is called meetup.ai.
Meetup.ai in Hamburg. Check it out.
We can put the link in the description.
Yeah. We'll definitely put the link in the description. But if people for some reason forget to check the description, make sure to check out meetup.ai if you're in Hamburg, and go meet Rico in person. Get inspired, get some of this energy. Rico, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. This has been crazy, amazing. I'm sure so many people are going to get inspired and energized by everything you shared. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great fun, actually.
All right, so there you have it. That was Rico Meinl on artificial intelligence and his journey into data science. I hope you're inspired. I hope you got that energy. I definitely felt the energy from Rico, and just how powerful his ambitions are and how powerful his drive and passion are. It's just incredible to meet people like that who set themselves some crazy commitment and they just go forward with it. And personally for me, that was the biggest takeaway, that the reckless commitment concept works. If you set yourself a goal, if you set yourself a target and you just commit to it and you know that there's no way out, you have to go for it. Like, as they say, if you want to take the island, burn the ships. If there's no way out, if there's no turning back, you're gonna do it. And the way to get that no turning back is you promise someone, or you talk to someone, you say, hey, I want to do this, or you set up a meetup group and you know there's 250 people waiting to come to the event, and you cannot let them down. Or you talk to your executives and you say, I'm setting up this AI department, it's gonna happen, and there's no way, no turning back, no way back. So there you go. That's the biggest thing I learned. I would love to hear what's the biggest thing that you learned. And if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to rate it on iTunes. That would really help us spread the word across the world so that more and more people can get amazing insights like this. And of course, you can get all of the show notes, including the LinkedIn URL for Rico's profile and also his meetup group, you can get that at superdatascience.com/123. Once again, this episode is available in video, so if you just listen to the audio, you can maybe later on someday go back and rewatch it in video to get inspired again and get a different experience. That is also available at superdatascience.com/123. And I can't wait to see you next time. Good luck with your reckless commitment. And until then, happy analyzing.